story time. This one's going to involve bow fishing, and I was learning how to bow fish and doing it with my uncle. He's the one who had the boat. Well, he had this old John boat set up with an ultralight airplane engine on it for an airboat, more or less. Weeds were up pretty bad on the lake at this point in time, and you really needed something to be able to get up and get over them. We're from a little bit further north in the south that we really didn't have airboats available here, so we just took a John boat and made one. That's the kind of man my uncle is. He sees something he wants to do, and if he can't find it and buy it, or doesn't want to buy it, he makes it. So we actually took my wife out this night, and I don't even think we were married. I think she was, the girl I was dating knew we were going to get married, but we were just dating. Stayed with us up the campground for a couple nights, and she stayed, in the motorhome with my parents, and I slept kind of in the tent outside. So there was that, but we all were together, and Uncle took us out bow fishing, and we were having a pretty good night. We'd done filled up one barrel and had mostly filled the other one. Now our goal was not so much to get a whole bunch of fish, although we had a couple catfish that we had thrown in the cooler, but it was to take these barrels and run them up the road to one of the little one or two little neighborhoods and sell fish real quick, because we could sell them lady cop, and they like them mudfish, so we could sell those and make them enough money to pay for the gas and all for the trip, and then some. So that was kind of the goal, but even if we didn't fill up the barrels, we were okay. So he'd then cranked up the airboat engine, and we were kind of moving along, and then boom, up on a stump. Could not get off the stump with the airboat engine. Now, water was probably waist deep, if that. We weren't in deep water, but we had gotten hung up on this stump. So I helped my wife out. She gets to standing perched on a stump nearby, and she didn't actually get down in the water and get wet. I, of course, had gotten down and got pretty much carried her over to the stump. And then I helped push the boat off while my uncle was running the airboat engine, and he got it loose, circled around, picked me up, and then we went to go get her. In the meantime, though, we'd had to dump all the barrels of fish. It was not a good thing, but we had to get the weight out the boat. That was part of the reason we were still stuck. So after we pick her up, she likes to claim that she thought we were going to leave her right there on the stump, because we had to circle wide back around because the way things were to come up to the stump and pick her up. So she saw us circle around, and she says, "Y'all are leaving me." So I didn't leave her. At any rate, some of the fish that was in the barrel were still kind of swimming off. Some of them had passed away, so we collected up as many as we could, put an arrow in the rest of them that we could. But that only filled one of the barrels. Some of them had already swum off, were fairly fresh. Of course, they may have died, but we're talking trash fish anyway, so the whole bow fishing thing was, nobody targeted these fish, so bow fishermen were having a good time. There's no limit on these fish, so there we go. But by the end of the night, we had gone ahead and filled up both barrels. So we had re-got what we had lost and then some. So the next morning, and we dropped my wife off at the camper so she could get some sleep. My uncle and I went up the road and run through the neighborhoods with the barrels, and word got out. I want you to know, in one neighborhood we emptied both those barrels completely. I think we were doing $3-4 for a mudfish, and like $5 for what they were calling the lady carp, and not all the carp I'm sure were girls, but definitely the ones with the bigger bellies is the ones they wanted. We even sold some of the male carp. I think it was another $2-3, whatever we were selling the mudfish for. Ended up with plenty of money to pay for the trip we'd had, add gas and all back in, and some ice for the cooler for the catfish. And my uncle and I went back to the campsite, and I didn't even go in the camper or anything, or didn't go in the tent. I had a hammock there, and I went to sleep, and Uncle went to sleep in his camper, and did it all over again the next afternoon. We went and did some fishing, and we did it all over again for bow fishing, and ended up going to a different neighborhood selling another batch. Now, was this necessarily legal? No, we didn't have a commercial fishing license, so selling fish wasn't necessarily legal. Was it a bad thing? Not really. If we hadn't been selling them, or in some cases we just gave them away, the fish would have went to waste. They wouldn't have gotten used and all in such a manner. Now, I did mention that I have dumped them out for the coons, for coon hunters and stuff like that. My uncle used to do that as well. We didn't always try and sell our catch, or didn't always even give them away. Uncle did have some people who would normally come get them from him if he had them. That was when he was coming from home versus at the campground. But hey, it kept us out there fishing, kept us going. And I guess the point of this is, do whatever it is you got to do to keep you going fishing. Get out there and enjoy yourself. Don't let things stop you. And I'm not saying break the law. I'm not saying trespass, but I'm saying that, given the opportunity, there's nothing wrong with you giving fish away and somebody handing you a little bit of cash for your efforts. And I wouldn't, call it going out there and selling all the time on purpose, but hey, it works. All right. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed the story. There should be more stories later. I got a few more, but I got to get my battery charged on my camera. It's about to go.